What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and over the past week or so, we have talked a lot about the comic book industry and maybe if what is going on out in the world is going to speed up the impending doom of the comic book industry as we know it. Now, the announcements made by Marvel last week certainly did not help with the woke as hell new Warriors trailer that has about 125,000 downvotes to about 3,000 upvotes as we speak. One of the worst ratios I've ever seen. Then the Children of the Atom, America Chavez, all of this stuff. Marvel clearly has no idea what it's doing when it comes to that, if they think putting that out will help save them in any way, shape, or form. But now, this could be it. This could definitely be the thing that does put the nail in the coffin, unfortunately, for the comic book industry and for local comic book shops. You can see the headline right here. Now, this was first reported by Bleeding Cool, but Diamond Comics to stop receiving shipments of new comics amid coronavirus concerns. Now, Diamond Distribution is basically the middleman between DC, Marvel, Image, all of these comic book publishers and all of the retailers. They are the ones that deliver it. They're the ones that get it out there. They're the ones that you place your orders through and get it to your local comic book shop so that you can pick up your new comics every Wednesday. They are closing down. They will no longer be distributing comics, anything new past April 1st. And that is a huge, huge blow to these comic book shops. So let's take a look at this story and talk about what it means. In a move similar to one announced by Amazon last week, Diamond Comic Distributors is no longer taking new comics at its warehouse. Comicbook.com can confirm Diamond has asked printers not to send them any more new products. The hold, the result of the slowdown in the economy due to the blank pandemic, will remain in place until further notice. Diamond will continue to ship out products that are already in its warehouse for the time being. So things that have already shipped there that are planning to go out, they will continue to ship, but they will not be taking anything new. This is a significant signal towards the future for comic shops around the country. Diamond is the exclusive distributor of new releases from all of the comic direct market's biggest publishers, including DC, Marvel, Dark Horse, Image, Dynamite, Boom, and IDW, as well as many of the smaller publishers. Diamond controls such a significant portion of the direct market that the system cannot function as is without the distributor. Now, and if you want to talk about what the struggles that Diamond has had and the struggles that all of these other people have had, I'm probably not the best channel for that. There's way better channels like that Umbrella guy, who I'll link at the end card, who has talked in depth about all the numbers behind this and why this wasn't really even sustainable, really. We were looking at the slow, gradual death of the industry as it was. Now, with this outbreak going on, it is just accelerating what is happening, unfortunately. We're still waiting for more specifics, but Diamond doesn't typically keep a large backstock of new comics at its warehouse. That's to say, it shouldn't be long before the stock of new issues is depleted and the flow of new products comes to an end. What comes next remains an open question. Now, and it's going to be different it could be different for every publisher, and it's going to be different for every local comic book shop. Will publishers continue to put out products if the direct market grinds to a halt? Could the market pivot towards focusing more on the digital side of things during the pandemic? And that's what a lot of them are talking about. They're saying, well, we're going to still release things digitally. People don't buy digitally. It just doesn't really happen. Now, will this force people into doing that? Perhaps. Maybe it will. Not everybody, though. One of the big things about comics is the fact that you can hold them and see them and show them off and collect them. That's such a huge thing when it comes to comic books. And digital just does not have that factor built in. Will the industry's biggest publishers simply go on pause for the duration of the crisis? These questions remain unanswered, but more news is sure to be forthcoming. This news comes after publishers began rolling out plans to help ease the stress on the direct market. Like Image said they would make new comics returnable. Great job by Image. Honestly, maybe something that should have been done before this. Marvel announced a discount to books being sold to retailers. Well, a lot of those ones they announced discounts on will not be sold to retailers now because they can't be distributed. This also follows news that the Free Comic Book Day is being delayed until Free Comic Book May. Well, at least that was the original plan. We'll see what happens come May. It's also worth noting Diamond owns Alliance Games, a significant presence in the games market, but not to the extent of what they mean to comics. And it was first reported by Bleeding Cool, like I said before. And they also had Diamond's CEO, Chairman and CEO Steve Jeppy also put out a statement entailing a lot of that. You can read it if you want, but it kind of just goes very in depth as to what we already talked about. That basically their warehouse, the reason this is happening is because their warehouses in Fort Wayne and Austin are basically closing down. They're being forced to close down, so they can't keep them open. So they will be shuttering the doors come March 24th. And that is basically the news on that front. But when it comes to the comic book shops, that's the real important thing here. They're at a crossroads now where they're not even getting new products. So even if they're allowed to stay open, and there's an interview here that I thought was very interesting with a leading comics retailer who talked about this and warned against this digital-only switch and what it could mean for comic shops. And it's a really long article, but if you're interested, I would go take a look at it. It's on Newsarama. But basically, you know, between the comic book shops not even being able to stay open for a large percent of people because they're not some kind of essential business only, they're in some kind of lockdown, a city lockdown, whatever it may be, as this continues to spread throughout the country and more local governments continue to shut everything down. Whether it's that or whether it's the fact that they're not going to be getting any more comics, so many local comic book shops, they're not going to be able to make it through this. Are they going to be able to go out and get one of these small business loans? Possibly. But depending on how long this thing goes, you are going to see dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds of comic book shops. There's less than 2,000 right now, I believe, in the country that are even open, local comic book shops. You're going to see that number decrease by the time this thing's over. And it's just sad. It's a combination of years and years of people like Marvel and people like DC putting out products that people don't want to buy and abusing this process, especially Marvel, the over shipping, the putting all this stress on comic book shops, the 25 variant covers that put all this stress on comic book shops. And it's going to come and bite them in the ass because now they're not going to have any place to sell their comics. Now, there have been talk about publishers potentially shipping direct to some places. They're not going to be able to do that for everybody. They simply don't have the infrastructure to do that. And if they can, a lot of these places aren't open. There's a couple comic book shops that are still doing like curbside pickup, kind of, like you're seeing with the food industry right now, but not enough to really handle it, and not enough to really make a dent. But that's kind of somber to think about that. The fact that my local comic book shop may be going out of business because of this entire thing. But it's the same stress and the same thing we're worried about with a lot of things in our lives, especially a lot of our friends, family, whatever, that do own their own businesses. They're in a really tight spot right now. But what's yet to come, I guess we will see in the future. But that's the news. The impending potential death of the comic book industry may have been fast forwarded quite a bit. But what do you guys think about this news, about Diamond stopping shipping these new comic books? I will say, if there is a time right now to go support your comic book store, it is now. If they are still open, if you want to go out right now, practice social distancing for sure, but go and buy some comics, some old ones, some from the 90s, some from the 80s, anything. Go support your local comic book shop right now because they're going to need it going forward. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.